Welcome to the Nuff Said Podcast, episode 23, Providence. I wonder why they called it that. Hey, I'm your host, repugnant Rob Southgate. With me is...
I'm jubilant Jack Wendrowski, but I am I am jealous of the repugnant one because that is very good.
Well, I think that we could be a comedy team, repugnant and jealous, or repugnant and jelly-filled, or what were you, jubilant?
Jubilant.
Jujubee? I'm so confused.
Jubilant. I've never heard it pronounced that way. Boy, this show is off to a great start.
Yeah, we're going to try and do this without edits, too. Good luck, you guys. So, Providence is I'm going to blow the ending of this show.
Isn't that in Rhode Island?
It's a hidden base for S.H.I.E.L.D. That was awesome.
Well, how much hidden stuff did we have? We had the hidden basement. We had the hidden basement down in the fridge.
Yeah, that was awesome when Ward took that particle beam and he's like, "Yeah, Coulson told me there's something below here." Garrett's like, "Nope, I saw the blueprints. Absolutely not." Boom, there it is. There's like a whole thing going on under there. It's going to be like their bat cave.
Yeah, this is where the secrets that have secrets is gonna bite agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. right in the behind.
Oh yeah, Oh yeah, yeah. Especially if Hydra's getting their fingers in all of it, it's gonna be a problem.
Dude, they busted into the toy store. It's everything that they were supposedly
that they said was gone.
Right.
And what was one of the first things they go for? That thing they found in Peru. It's like, oh, that's not good.
And absolutely nobody knows what it is except, Garrett, he fires it up and fires the first shot into a wall that lets everybody out.
He's like, oh yeah, I found this thing. I know how to work it. Unbelievable.
I can't imagine what kind of things are going to bite them now. It's, S.H.I.E.L.D. has gotten out of control.
Yeah, things are really, really spinning. So, okay, now that we've spoiled that part of it, let's go back. So, first of all, we start out and we see Raina, and she's in prison. Ward goes in there, and he gives her back the flower dress. What is it with Garrett and the flower dress? He's got a thing for that dress.
I don't know. I guess it signifies some sort of, like, maybe her power or superpower or something about her character, and that gives her the authority or something. I don't know.
No, I think he just likes her in flower dresses.
Yeah, it could be. Maybe.
He showed up. He's like, here's a gift from the clairvoyant. So when this episode started, so he gets her out and then credits. When this episode started, throughout the week we were tweeting things out, and I was saying things like, I'm not sure if Ward is actually bad. I'm thinking, okay, it's going to turn out he's a triple agent, or, this is not what it appears to be. But, and even there, I'm going, this could be that he's, doing this. He's trying to convince her. She's not really buying that he's a Hydra agent, But I think it was proven throughout this episode that Ward is not such a good guy. The double headshot to two S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, I don't think you get away with that and say, it was all in the line of duty.
Well, and that's what we're always led to believe with this stuff, but we also were led to believe that Coulson was dead and Nick Fury was killed. And
yeah, but think about it. Like, if you're not going to take those two guys, two red shirts, the Star Trek reference, two red shirts that are definitely there to die. You're not going to take them and put them in Tahiti and bring them back. So they really did sacrifice these two characters. Now, if you think about deep cover, yeah, they pretty much will do anything. But if a cop is deep cover and he kills another cop, I don't think they're going to look too kindly on that. I don't think you get away with that because you were undercover. Well, same thing here.
Well, here's the beauty.
He killed those two guys right in the head.
Well, who's going to get it, though? They've completely obliterated S.H.I.E.L.D. So, deep cover or not, who's going to come after him when everything's said and done? I didn't kill those two guys. Go ask Agent Garrett because he had just killed him. Whatever.
So you're saying because the good guys weren't watching, he gets away with it?
Oh yeah, But
if he's
this is how S.H.I.E.L.D. works. He's a specialist. He gets the job done no matter what. This is the agency that we're that we've been.
So it's much more than MI6. It's much more than James Bond. James Bond, license to kill, but he doesn't have license to kill M. Okay. So same thing here. License to kill. I don't think he has a license to shoot 2 agents in the head. I think that was he's a bad guy. But now they're trying to build the fact that he's a conflicted bad guy because he has feelings for Sky. I don't buy it.
No, well,
I don't buy it, man.
No. This is where I'm going to kind of agree with you and kind of disagree in a slight story arc. That
wait, is it your story arc? Back when I lived across from that cemetery, beginning of my story.
That's right. And actually, I did live across from a cemetery with the Bride of Hillside, so I will go there.
I know you did. Now, wait, you weren't married to the Bride of Hillside.
Not back then.
No, but you thought about it.
I can't go there. I'm married, and I've only had one. I've only had one wife, so I can't make that. I can't make that joke. I'll get in trouble.
Right. She's listening.
That'll be a real life haunting.
If you don't know what the Bride of Hillside is, there's a thing. It's a magic box, and when you type into it under a thing called Google, you'll come up with this crazy story of the Bride of Hillside. And here's the best part: Jack lived across the street from the Bride of Hillside,
and it's all true.
It's so cool.
All the stories are
all true.
The stories are true. Whether or not that she was an actual ghost, but there were sightings. But yeah, go look it up. So what we were talking about is Ward. Now, I do believe that they are going with the Lost Soul arc, I agree with you. And where I disagree is the motivation is not going to be Sky. He's playing her. He's going to continue to be playing her. He will get it done. He doesn't want to kill her, but I think that's the extent of his feeling. The thing is, where they talked about was you owe Coulson. The girl in the flower dress said, you owe him. He says, yes, I do, but I owe Garrett everything. And that's where our conflict is going to come from, is the loyalty to Garrett. And, Garrett has no loyalty. When he's done with Ward, he's going to drop him like a hot potato right in the middle of nowhere. And that's going to surprise Ward. Ward's going to, at the last minute, go, oh, I'm so sorry. And then we're supposed to kind of accept him, which is really...
You think that's what's going to happen?
Oh, I'm positive.
See, I don't know, man. I really think that he's flipped. I really think, and I wasn't thinking that at the beginning of the episode, but throughout this episode, it kept getting proven to me to a point that I went, I think they're making him a serious bad guy.
I kind of hope that they have the wherewithal, the guts to do that, but I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to Disney out, and they're going to
Disney out.
Oh yeah, totally. Like,
okay,
you go to how many Disney movies have you watched where the kid is a smart mouth kid? He's terrible. He's like the worst human being on the planet. He's snotty to adults. He's like, oh my God, he's the worst behaved kid. But then he saves the planet. At the end of the 2.5 hours, he's sorry and completely redeemed. Where in real life, the parents...
I really want to know what Disney movie you're talking about, because...
Oh man, from like 80s and 90s, it's like every Disney movie.
There were a lot of movies like
ever.
that, but I can't think of a Disney movie like that.
Oh, come on. There were all sorts of stuff. I don't ask me to be one of those that come up with names, but there is plenty of examples, or from even any movie that,
they take the character, they have him turn bad, and you think they're repulsive, and then at the end they're redeemed. It's that whole redemption story, sure. And you're thinking that might happen with Ward.
I hope not.
Okay, so
that's my prediction.
If we cut to the preview for next week, it looks like Ward actually does flip over the cards and tell Sky something's up. So that could be a clue. Maybe he is triple, quadruple, whatever agent at this point. Or maybe he's had second thoughts and he's like, wait a minute, this is spinning a way that I wasn't expecting. And he tells her. Or maybe that was a big red herring and none of that's really what's going on next week. I don't know.
Well, my gut feeling about that is he tells Sky basically that if you don't give me the code, I will have to kill you. And here's why. Right. He doesn't want to get that part of the job done, but he wants to get the job done. And so he makes a deal kind of with the with the Angels and say, okay, look, I'm not going to be so bad that I'm going to do what Garrett really wants me to do. However,
Right.
I still need that code, and here's why. And she's
Right.
oh my God, he's so terrible. It's so terrible. But no, I do. I want Ward to pony up, be the bad guy, and die a horrible death. I don't want him coming back. I don't want him coming back redeemed. You know.
I don't either. I think it's much more interesting if he doesn't. I think it's much more interesting even if he tries to redeem, like he does act like, okay, I do have feelings here, but just let him just not really fully redeem and just turn into bad mojo. You know what I mean?
Right.
I would like that. And Garrett too. I don't want Garrett to fry out. I don't want it to be, 2 more episodes and then, oh, Garrett gets killed and now we've moved on to something else. I want Garrett to be out there for a while.
Well,
and what was up with the metal thing on Garrett's side? Did you catch that?
I did lift up the shirt. Is that a little bit of Deathlock in him?
I believe it is. And in fact, we've talked about this before on the show. Garrett actually does have a very similar experience to that of Coulson, and he is rebuilt. Now, I always assumed that he was going to be rebuilt the way Coulson was, but maybe he was rebuilt with Deathlock, and maybe that's why they did what they did to Mike Peterson.
What do you mean?
Maybe they used that. Well, maybe they used that same technology and said, look, we can weaponize him and we can control him. And we know how strong and solid this is. Like maybe Garrett was kind of an experiment and it was like, hey, it's because this worked the way it does. And because Garrett has this ability to, manipulate people with this eye and whatever else it is he has going on. Maybe it was just an evolution of that technology. Let's see if it works first and then let's use it to control.
Well, I'm thinking that this whole clairvoyant thing is, we know that Garrett was the clairvoyant. Kind of surprised everybody, but if you've been watching, this is where it kind of came to. And in fact, Garrett says, look, I don't have any superpowers, but
right.
I do know, how to give surprises and blah, blah, blah. So I think he's being controlled somewhat that, what they've done is to what's his name? Michael?
I think.
Yeah, that they've
I mean, who knows? Go ahead.
Anyway, what's his name? The Deathlock character. I just blanked.
Mike Peterson.
Mike Peterson.
I got it.
And so I really think that Garrett is kind of down. I think he's down a lot more the chain than we think he is. We think that he's near the top of the chain. No. With Deathlock inside him, no, somebody went there with it.
So you're thinking someone's controlling him. Well, you know what? We've said that before. I think that you're right. I think that Garrett is, I don't think he's the head of Hydra or anything. I think that he's, like a captain. Like he's been given this assignment. He's doing his thing. But somebody is sitting there pulling the strings on him. Somebody even higher up.
Right.
Really at this point, couldn't it be Tolva or whatever his name is, the guy from the Captain America movie, the guy that's the computer?
Yeah, totally.
Why not, right?
Right. I mean, it could be anything, and it's Hydra. It's got 1,000 arms, 1,000 heads.
Yeah, right.
This thing could go anywhere and everywhere, and just about the time that you really think you have a handle on it. No, this guy, he's at best a captain. And I remember when they were asking him really what made him, Coulson asked, what really made you flip? I just went with the wind blows. No, I think that was a load of crap. I think the reason he flipped is because he got half blown up, Hydra put him back together, and somebody's pulling his coat strings.
Right, because Hydra's way of reassembling people is Deathlock, it appears. Whereas S.H.I.E.L.D.'s way of reassembling is Tahiti.
Right, and HG, what was it, 322?
Yeah, whatever. I know what you're talking about.
GH, yeah.
320 or something?
All I could think of is House Resolution. I'm from the D.C. area, so
Right.
So where does that leave us?
with which I'm so confused. This is getting so confusing.
I know.
I think people have told me when they listen to our podcast, it makes their head spin because we talk about so many weird things and topics go flying in and out and all this stuff goes on. And this show is starting to spin my head. I can't imagine what listening to this show is like right now.
Where is it going to land?
Holy cow.
Our show is like Hydra.
It is.
And I haven't even got on the May soapbox yet.
You've got a May soapbox? Okay, wait. You know what? Get on the May soapbox. Let's get off the Hydra soapbox. I want to hear about May.
Okay, am I the only one that's really tired of, first off, the whole thing, she's never going to be trusted again, which, that's only going to take about 2 more episodes. She's already back on the bus. On the other thing, she really thinks that she's driving any of this. And I really want to see Nick Fury come back and really tell her, look, you sit your butt down and shut up. I didn't get you on this team. Coulson is the lead. You shut up and drive the bus. Because she still has that attitude like, oh, I'm here to protect Coulson from himself and this kind of thing that's happening now. But yet she's still following him. And, oh, what?
Well, she's in that position, though, especially with them assuming Fury is dead.
That's true, but it's just pretentious. It's like, when she kind of went on this tirade, like, this is my team. I just let you lead it. That's kind of the attitude that I get from her.
Yeah.
Okay. Coulson finally called her out. She calls for his weapon. He says, you want to take it from me? All right, that's what I thought. Go on, get out of my office.
Yeah, I actually have a little different take on May. I find her to be a little bit of a tragic character because she really did think she was doing what she was supposed to. She actually was doing what she was supposed to, but the perception was so out of whack because of the Hydra thing that she has now been, turned into a villain in some ways in their eyes. She's somewhat of a traitor to the team in their eyes, but in reality, she was doing what she thought was right. She was trying to protect Coulson. She was trying to watch for S.H.I.E.L.D. Her following him at this point, I think that she doesn't really have a choice, number one. But number two, I think that she wants to. I think that she respects Coulson. She was just doing her job. And I think that if Fury contacted her and said, look, you need to keep that up. I'm worried about him and you need to keep calling me. I think that would happen too.
I don't know.
I think she is S.H.I.E.L.D. through and through.
Oh, I agree. And I think when Ward really kind of blows his cover, at some point they're going to have to discover this. They don't know it yet, but
yeah, right.
It's coming out probably by the next episode. And that's where May is really kind of she's going to have to come back to the team and quit shooting at Fitz and everybody else and smacking and kind of take that role where Ward was. She's going to have to kind of step in maybe as the specialist.
Right. She's going to be the butt kicker. I think you're right. Although maybe you're not right. Maybe she stays the bus driver and is the cavalry as she has been. And Triplet becomes the new Ward. And that's that actually makes sense to me because it was a little too harmonious with Ward. With Triplet, there is that bit of tension where Coulson is like, look, dude, you were the closest one to Garrett. The team is not knowing what's going on. And right now, they're still thinking Ward is their Ward, but maybe Triplet becomes their Ward and Ward really is the bad guy.
Well, we saw the interaction between Triplet and Ward, and Triplet seems as just as capable as Ward. I mean, he's been trained by the same guy. He is ready to throw down, just as capable as Ward is.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, he's had the same thing. He was working with Garrett. He was being trained there. I do think it's weird, though, that Garrett was doing this and was training this guy the way he was and was not recruiting him.
Well, I think...
And that does leave a big question.
It does, but, they were walking a fine line between S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra. They had to really operate out in the open, but Ward goes way, way back. And
way before Triplet. He was Garrett's boy way back.
But here's the
So yeah, I get that, but once again, if he was training Triplet, and Triplet is really good, wouldn't he do things to sabotage that? Because he doesn't want somebody to be that big an opponent to him that isn't on his side in some way.
But I think that kind of lends a certain amount of authenticity to that Shield component that that he operated so out in the open that he literally could have someone on the team. Of course, 2 years from now, if this show is still going, they could have him flip the switch just like they did with us on Ward. That's just the way this goes. There's so many secrets, and Shield is so tainted. Anybody could go rogue at any time. Now,
yeah, right.
This team doesn't even exist in Shield anymore.
True. Well, okay, let's talk about that. So I liked a few things that happened. I loved when Sky said we're agents of nothing, and then of course Coulson had that great big dramatic speech. We are not just agents of nothing; we're agents of Shield. You know what? That was just classic, like comic book action movie writing right there. I liked that. The whole idea, though, that this team is going to go rogue, people have been saying that for a while. I've been reading it on the internet. It's something that you and I have talked about. Here it is. When she said we're agents of nothing, and then they collected their badges, it was like, wow, they really are blowing up Shield with this team. Like, this team is done, man.
Right.
And I thought that was really cool. And I liked I liked when they got to Providence and Patton Oswalt is there and he's all excited to see him and he's like, you get a lanyard. That was hilarious. And it shows that, yeah, they're still Shield, but I have a feeling that whatever is left of Shield, the ashes of Shield, which are basically there in Providence and with Nick Fury, I think that Coulson's team really is Shield. But it won't have a name anymore. They will be agents of nothing. They'll be running rogue with Shield's blessing. That's kind of what I think is happening now.
Well, they will be the only true Shield because the Air Force is coming in and they're taking down everybody. And they'll debrief everybody, one soldier or airman at a time. And
yeah, how about that? When Talbot says we're coming, and Coulson's like, okay, great. We'll see you then. Okay, we're out of here. So Talbot is going to be an issue. Now, I don't know how much he's going to be in the show, but, that's the guy that is the Hulk hunter.
Right.
And I think he's the connection. Or he's part of that connecting line where it's not going to happen this season, but in season 2, I would not be surprised if Gamma doesn't become a big thing and we get some kind of Hulk action and Talbot is involved. Because Talbot is around now.
Right. So we've got his character, which means really soon we have to have some sort of Hulk for him to go after. Whether it be a miracle. I mean, it can't be a miracle. I mean, it has to be Gamma.
Right.
It has to be Gamma. And, not to get everybody confused again, but we've unleashed completely unleashed Gravitron.
Yeah.
Gravitonium.
Okay, so we didn't see Graviton in this one. We know he's there.
He's in the mix.
I wonder if he's in that ball of Gravitonium that we saw.
Absolutely. That was the last thing we saw from that cube before they shut that door.
Right. We saw his hand push out. And does Garrett know that he's in there?
No.
Or does he just assume this is Gravitonium?
Right.
So, yeah, I think he's about to unwittingly unleash a supervillain that's going to be a big problem for both sides because he's not going to play along with Hydra.
No. I mean,
he might use Hydra to his end, but he is not going to be playing along with Hydra. He's just going to be out for revenge against S.H.I.E.L.D.
Well,
so it's going to be real interesting.
It is. Yeah. When we put all this kind of stuff together, look, I don't think it's our fault that people are getting confused. There are so many side stories that you forget what this show is even supposed to be about.
Well, that's really the funny thing, because if you go back to the first half of the season when people were kind of complaining about the show, one of the complaints was it's too straightforward, it's too easy. We don't have anything going on with superheroes. Now it's like, okay, you want it complicated? We're going to make it complicated. Here's all sorts of crap going on. And they're superheroes, but they're kind of off screen, but now they're here.
Right. Yeah.
So it's definitely, the show is definitely evolving rapidly. We didn't even talk about this part of it. Did you like the episode?
I did like the episode. The only thing I was really tired of was that May storyline.
The May thing.
The May thing. Just get over it. Let her get back to doing what she's doing. She's not in control of anything. She's got to get that out of her head. Get back to driving the bus and doing what she does best. Nobody is going to follow her into battle. She's got no loyalty, no leadership ability, as far as with this particular team. She's threatened or shot at about everybody in there. There's, everybody would have her back, but nobody would follow her in a Coulson kind of scenario. If she had led this team to where they would have never got there. And that's why Coulson is the leader.
Right.
And that's
right.
This is the part where I really had the problem with the May storyline, is because either she has his back or she doesn't. Just quit going there.
Okay, I can see that. By you saying it that way, I can see where the frustration's coming in, because I actually don't see it that way, but I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think we're really going to see the team when they let all those superheroes or the super villains out of the fridge. First thing Garrett said is they should keep Coulson busy for a while.
Right. Well, and we don't know if there's more in there than what we've seen.
Oh, yeah.
There
is. That's why it's the fridge, and it's got like 100-something floors.
Yeah, but we don't know how many of them are supers, are problems like that. We don't really know. So one thing I thought was really interesting was when he brought up Johnny Horton.
Yeah.
And did you catch that? And Johnny Horton is a character called the Griffin. And he was like, he had his hands made into these paws and all that. Now, that's pretty interesting because, is this going to be a super villain that we're going to see pop up in here?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
and he was on a couple of different teams. He was on a team called the Masters of Evil, and he was also in the Secret Empire. The Masters of Evil, when I was thinking about it, I'm like, wow, I remember reading Masters of Evil stuff going, I could see them totally doing that as a team that they have to deal with. There's a lot of possibility. Once again, this is not a show necessarily about superheroes, so we're not going to have these big fighting battles with superheroes all the time. But you certainly could do a lot with like the Masters of Evil and some of that kind of stuff. I certainly think that would work.
Well, I think part of the next story arc is going to be dealing with the implosion of S.H.I.E.L.D. and kind of refilling the fridge, because they're going to have to protect the people that they just unleashed these villains up, to the world. And so the team, one of the first things that they're going to have to do is start rounding up this group, which is going to keep Coulson busy enough so that
it's going to keep him busy for sure.
And so Garrett can start with his master plan. So we'll kind of benefit with some of these minor characters, because except for, one or two where they've kind of mentioned, we don't even know who they let out.
Right.
So it could be it could be anybody.
Yeah, it could be all sorts of stuff going on there, especially when he flipped over the Johnny Horton card and you're like, wait a minute, this is a guy that has these weird powers that we haven't heard or seen at all.
Right. And I liked the one of the guys he let out of the where he opened the hole in the wall and he said, "Hey man, go follow your dreams."
All right.
So who was that? What character was that?
Okay. Yeah, no kidding. And I got to say, Garrett has the best lines. Even when they're just cheesy and awful. Hello, gorgeous. What a terrible line, but it was great.
I know.
Just let him go. Let him just keep on every episode with his lines. He's the best.
And I'm really disappointed that he's fighting for the other side. It makes for a great show, but I'm really going to miss him because he's really kind of what I almost envisioned the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to be, except for now he's doing the same thing for Hydra.
Right, right. But you know what? I'm still good with it because I think that he gives Coulson his Joker.
Yeah.
He's got the guy that is going to drive him. I really hope that he's going to continue on in the series, that it's not just four and done, Because if that's the case, it's like, okay, well, that would be like if the Joker showed up and then we never heard from the Joker again. That's not Batman, I know that that's DC. I don't need to get the fanboy hate for that, but everybody knows what that analogy is.
Right.
And I really think that that's who he is to Coulson.
Well, I think you're right. So, and hopefully, I think there'll be, if we like him that much and the general public like him that much, they're going to put him back in. It's the bean counters say, if it works, don't fix it.
Well, and Bill Paxton is a movie star. So here's a character that you could easily cross over into the movies, just like you can with Coulson, where they've already got a movie presence. If their name's on a marquee, it's like, yeah, people know who Bill Paxton is.
Right. And he's not coming back to the good side because he's already got Deathlock kind of rumbling around in there. And
he's not going to oh, good. They took that thing out of my eye. Now I can be a good guy again. No. He's loving being the bad guy.
He is.
Unlike Mike Peterson, who's conflicted, no way is Garrett conflicted. Garrett's all in.
He's reveling in this whole bit, and you can tell he enjoys it. There is no going back for him. I still predict.
Nope.
I predict there's something they're going back with Ward, but I don't want to buy it. I don't want to see it. I want to.
I hope not.
I want to go. I want to see him go full ape and die a horrible death.
Well, and I really want Triplet to stay. So keep Triplet on the team. I like him. I like Ward as Bad Ward.
Yeah.
I was never a big Ward fan. It was like he was okay. He was good when there was the action stuff, but the character didn't do a lot for me. Triplet, there's something more going on there. I like that a little bit more. Now that's really not the actor. That's just how all this was written. But now they've given the actor something different to do, and he's really shining.
Yeah. I wonder if Ward didn't test as good, and this has something to do with that, or is this the actual storyline?
No, I think this was planned. That was one thing somebody interviewed. I forget who it was. It was one of the showrunners. It might have been actually. Man, I don't remember. It might have been one of the Whedons, but they said, did you know this was going to happen? Had you planned the whole time? Or did this happen halfway through the season when you realized, oh, hey, we can tie this into Captain America? And the person that was interviewed, it was definitely one of the producers. They said, no. Before we started the show, we knew exactly what happened in Captain America, and we knew at what point this was all going to happen.
Ah.
So it was all planned out, which means they moved those pieces into place way back as far as, what was going to happen with Ward, what was going to happen with Skye. All that stuff was predetermined.
Right. Of course, the next thing we know predetermined, speaking of that, is they can't figure out what that growth hormone, alien growth hormone is. And so Skye is a walking test tube.
Yeah, right. She's not only that, but she's a 084. We still don't know what her superpower is.
Well, we're going to have to find out soon because they're going to rope her in. They've been testing subjects. They can't find that growth hormone, and they're going to want to pull her in. They really want to find that because then they've got invincible army forever. And the only protection that Skye is going to have is the fact that she's a 084, and she's going to bust out on somebody.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I just can't wait to see what happens there. And you know what? Maybe her ability is really just this hacker ability. Maybe she's just really good at that, at solving that kind of stuff and figuring her way through codes and that. I mean, they even said, that she was getting close to figuring out Hydra. They had to get her involved with S.H.I.E.L.D. before everything fell apart.
Right.
She could have, if she had exposed Hydra back then, you know what? It wouldn't have been the same. It wouldn't have had the same effect.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they would have they would have been able to round everybody up. You wouldn't have this implosion. You wouldn't have the U.S. government has already declared that SHIELD is a terrorist organization.
Right.
I mean, that's how compromised this whole thing was. If they'd let her do her thing, they would have discovered this way back when. Of course, Hydra is going to take all the credit. Although,
of course,
we
like any terrorist organization, the minute that something happens, that it's like 10 terrorist organizations jump right in and go, "It was us, we did it," and that's what Hydra is going to do, but not necessarily Hydra. So I want to bring up a couple things. We had lots of Twitter activity this week.
Yeah.
And it was really good. I don't know if you ever go in there and look at that, but I was responding to stuff and checking it out. I wanted to bring up a couple of them. One of them, it's funny because I don't know if this listener is going to feel the same way after this episode as they did when they wrote this. But Thomas Cackler wrote, "Hey, Nuff Said Podcast, I don't think, spoiler, is the clairvoyant," meaning Garrett. "He was in the room when they found the guy in the wheelchair." Well, I actually disagree with that because it doesn't matter if he's in the room with the guy at the wheelchair. He was a fly on the wall for that. He was making sure everything was going down the way it was supposed to. Nobody still knew who he was. So I don't think there's a problem there, but I wonder if Thomas would think now that he's not the clairvoyant because of that, or if he just say like, "Oh yeah, clearly he is the clairvoyant," because I think clearly he is. It's just he's not the top tier.
Right.
So I also want to throw a shout out. I'm just kind of buzzing through Twitter here because there was so much stuff. One of the podcasts that we did our roundtable with a few weeks ago, the Helicarrier podcast, which was a lot of fun. I really look forward at the end of the season to doing another one with everybody. But Helicarrier podcast did an awesome thing for us. We don't have a lot of Twitter followers. They put out there that it says, "Guys, Nuff Said Podcast, our fellow Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast is only 60 followers away from 100. It's a nice way of saying we only have 40. And then he wrote, "Get them there before Providence starts." So he tweeted that out. He's got like 1,200 followers. Tweeted that out, trying to drum up some numbers for us. I went ahead and retweeted it from mine. Jack, you should do the same because anyone that's following us or listening to us definitely should be following Helicarrier and Level 7 and any of the guys that we were on there with because what a great group.
Yeah.
And I've been listening to their shows and it's just been a lot of fun. But that was a really cool thing for him to do. Oh, Fantastic Geek was the other one. It was Fantastic Geek, the Level 7 Pod, and Helicarrier Podcast. Those are the three that were on there with us.
Oh, great. Man, what a great heads up there.
And then I think my favorite tweet this week came from a guy named Jack Wengroski.
What?
Yeah. Raiding the fridge. Agent Garrett is making me hungry. I laughed so hard when I read that because when he said that line, I was like, "Oh, boo, raiding the fridge." And then I was like, raiding the fridge. And then you wrote that, and I'm like, Jack, you're reading my mind.
That's the sad part is that the food was the first thing we thought of.
You know what? I started thinking of, I wonder if Fitz's sandwich is in there. Ooh, they're going to have hell to pay.
Boy, you're going way back.
Man, I bring up that sandwich all the time.
Mr. Peabody, let's go to the Wayback Machine.
Yes, boy, Sherman. I'm actually thinking we should rename the podcast to the Sandwich Cast because of our love of that sandwich. Do you know, hey, I want to bring something up. Not to go off topic because I know we really try not to. we can't go 5 minutes, man. So when we did that last show, or not that last show, when we did the show and we talked about the sandwich, one of the things I talked about is how I have all these food allergies, and we have all these food allergies in our house, and we can't eat gluten, we can't eat this and that. And there was like everything in that sandwich. I'm like, oh, it would kill me. I would still like to be in the room with that sandwich. So Martha, my wife, for the listeners, Jack, I know you know Martha very well. Martha is the one. She's like an allergy bomb. She's got all these food allergies, and they've just gotten worse and worse. Well, our friend Ruth, who is one of our listeners, has directed her to a doctor that is fixing the food allergies.
Really? Oh, that's awesome.
Is that amazing? She could not eat corn, anything that had any derivative of corn in it in any way, for like a year. And in the last 2 weeks, she can eat like corn chips. She can eat like anything. We are on the way to recovery where we eventually will be able to put gluten back in the diet. Not that we're going to go like crazy with it or anything, but we can have it.
Huh.
She can have eggs and things like that now, or she's getting there. Thank you, Ruth. That is all I can say. You are amazing for doing this.
I think we should do the back
which
to
also
gluten.
means
Oh, go ahead.
back to gluten.
The
I
back
was going to say that also means that I'm going to end up getting cured from this stuff eventually, which means It's a Sandwich is on my horizon.
You know, you know what the visual I got of that sandwich, and I've been out of the Chicago area for about 24 years, 21 years in the Army, 3 years at North Texas. Way back in the day, and this place is closed, but this little hole in the wall, little grocery convenience store. It was called Nijo's, and they had this Italian sub on ganella bread, and I think it was like a foot long. It was like $2 in $1980,
Okay.
and which would be like like a $5 foot long today probably, but that thing was the best. It had all the best like real Italian meats and cheese. I could literally taste that sub as I saw him throwing it into the water.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Still talking about that sandwich, still thinking about it. Oh, that just was great. So someday, maybe by the time I see you next time, when you come back out to Chicago, I'll be all cured up and we can go out and get one of those sandwiches.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a full on just meat and nitrite parade. So, not to get to reel back a little in, but still confuse the listener. I'm going to go. Right. I'm going to go back to one of my tweets, and I tweeted they had a little sneak peek about Guardians of the Galaxy. And,
yes,
dude, I am so excited about this. But I was even more excited about the sneak peek, and it absolutely showed me nothing that I hadn't seen already.
No, I know. I mean, it was that little sneak peek, a little behind the scenes thing, and I'm like, they would have been much better off for me just doing a preview and letting it play the song, the Hooked on a Feeling, with just showing Rocket Raccoon shooting from Groot's head. And that would have been it. I would have been like 30 seconds of that. You have my money. Let's go.
Although I did like the little piece about Brad doing Rocky Raccoon, and
yeah, that was cool.
Vin Diesel, I can't imagine is Groot, but how awesome is that going to be?
The movie is going to be just amazing. These Marvel movies just keep getting better. And that's not to criticize, like Iron Man 1 was just so great, right? Yeah. But when you start looking at like Thor and then Thor 2 was so good. It was so much better. And I liked Thor. Captain America, I love Captain America, but man, Cap 2 was like better.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm like, man, this looks like it's on par. Like they really have cracked the code here.
Yeah. I mean, how do you beat completely taking out New York City and go from there? And yet everything is almost a little tied in to each other. You've got Thor tying in with S.H.I.E.L.D. and,
well, they did a great job with that, where they said, after Avengers, we're going to show you these characters dealing with that aftermath.
Right.
That was really a smart way to play it, because they could have just gone on with a Cap story, but no. This went back. This showed the aftermath of what happened with the Avengers.
Right.
And how he dealt with it. That was a major event. And guess what? In May, you guys are going to be dealing with another major event with Ultron.
Right.
And then in a couple of years, guess what? Avengers 3's coming out. And Thanos, they've revealed, is a key player or a character in Guardians of the Galaxy. Like whatever happens in the Guardians of the Galaxy involving Thanos leads to Avengers 3. And man, when you've got Thanos involved, that is going to be one crazy, brutal, off-planet movie.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be.
So, yeah.
And Colby Smulders is coming back for the April 29th episode.
Yeah, I saw that. That's really cool. And then Nick Fury is going to be on the last episode. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Like, I like that they're getting the people that are in the movies. They're kind of circling in here, and they're doing it right. They don't need to be in for a whole episode, although having Sif on was pretty awesome. But having that little bit with Fury, yeah, it was just a minute. I'd like to see a little bit more. But you know what? Having it there added that flavor. It told you, like, yeah, man, this is all connected. This is all part of that world.
Now, talking about Fury for a second, and one of my favorite kind of interactions or quotes, I don't know if I could exactly quote it as I was in the gym watching it on the little TV screen, but Patton Oswalt and his interaction with Coulson and say, okay, we're just the two of us. I'm going to let you know Fury is alive, but you can't tell the team. They haven't been vetted.
Yeah.
And it's like, well,
right.
I don't know. I don't like keeping secrets from my teams. Well, you're going to have to, or else. Is this a threat? And usually Patton is always doing this kind of bouncy, kind of pushover guy. And it was like everything froze. He stopped dancing around and looked at him and gave him that look.
Yep.
That I've never seen from his character and went, oh, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really cool. Oh, and Patton Oswalt is a geek. And he loved being that S.H.I.E.L.D. agent down in that secret facility.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
he was having fun with it, and him getting to threaten Coulson, man, that he was just like, this was awesome.
Right, and you just got the feeling that he didn't want to have to do that, but if Coulson had said one more word, he was going to rip his heart out of his chest.
Yep.
And sorry, man.
You know what? Let's put it this way. Fury's not going to put some little panty waist as the only guy left in this hidden bunker.
Right.
But even though he's Patton Oswalt, and you look at him and go, yeah, he couldn't really do any damage. No, this is the Marvel Universe. That guy that looks like Patton Oswalt, like you said, could rip your heart out.
Right. Boy, I really, out of all the things I've seen him in, that really, I just had to throw out some respect, because for that instant, you really thought, dude, he just backed off Coulson and said,
all right,
absolutely, this is a threat. Oh, are we good? Okay, now I can go back to being me, because I almost had to whoop you down.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that was awesome.
Man, I really enjoyed Patton Oswalt on there. This is another character that, you don't want him in every episode. You don't want all these S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. It's like Victoria Hand. It was great that you get her in a couple of episodes. You know who she is. She doesn't need to be there every time. Patton Oswalt. I don't want to see Eric Koenig as, comic relief character that's a little bit threatening. I want him popping in every once in a while, and knowing when he's there that, yeah, this is going to be a good scene. Oh, I can't wait for him to be on. You know what I mean?
Right. Now, here's another little question. Are we going to see Agent Hand again? Is she truly dead?
Okay, great question.
Is she done?
I have a theory on it. What do you think, though? I want to hear what you say.
I don't, I've got, in the alternate universe here, I say something's up with this word thing. I don't know which way they're going with it. One option is that he shot her with a dummy round, that this is all a double blind, that, in next season, oh, well, she didn't really get shot. Or the next story arc, I don't think they're going to get rid of her completely. I think somebody's going to find her minutes from death and put her in stasis, or she becomes another Marvel character. I don't think she's gone for good.
No, I don't think that'll happen, because she is Victoria Hand, who is a Marvel character. I have a couple of thoughts on this. I don't want Ward to come back and be a good guy. I want Ward to stay a bad guy and to have that little bit of conflict where he's a little bit tortured by it, but deep down, he's a bad guy. At the same time, if that's the case, then yeah, he shot Victoria Hand. But I think either Victoria Hand, yeah, unless he did a headshot and we didn't see. If he did a headshot, that's something different. But if he didn't, if he shot her in the chest, she could have been wearing squibs. She could have known, I need to fake my death if something happens here. Because she's smart and she's ahead of the curve all the time. We also don't know if that was Victoria Hand.
Right.
You know, what if it was a life model decoy and that was fake blood you saw pouring out of its hand there? We don't know. I think she's too good a character. There's too much potential for a really good character there to just kill her that fast.
Right. And here's another observation for me. How many times did they drop, oh, there's no clairvoyant. He can't possibly have the power. They dropped this hint about now that you look and see it's Agent Garrett and he didn't have the power. They've been foreshadowing this really in not a subtle way. We just didn't want to believe it. And the fact that she came...
Well, I still don't believe it. There is clairvoyance because we've seen all these other things in the Marvel Universe. But we can say, okay, the foreshadowing was that the clairvoyant is not clairvoyant.
Right. But my point being is that during that scene where she comes in is, oh, do you want to shoot the clairvoyant for real now? It was too set up. It's like she knew what was going to happen.
Right. I thought the same thing.
This show feeds us very obvious things if you care to listen to what they're saying.
Right.
This is a setup. That whole scene was a setup. And, it could go, if word is bad, like I like your theory that she knew something was up, that something could go wrong.
She was prepared for it.
So she plays up the death scene. Oh, yeah, you shot me. Here's a little blood capsule, but, I was wearing my super underpants.
My underoos. Wouldn't they wear underoos in this universe?
Absolutely. I'm sure Kmart's putting out the Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. underoos as we speak.
I really hope that they have them in large men's sizes.
Oh, that'll be the Patton Oswalt collection.
The Patton Oswalt collection. You get Patton Oswalt, and you'll get Eric Koenig underoos. Oh no!
Wait.
Oh yuck!
If the listeners were confused before, now they're just it's tragic and tortured.
Well, and because they're underoos, so it's all printed right on the underwear and the T-shirt. It would have a printed lanyard on the T-shirt.
Yeah.
And one of our listeners sent us a thing. I think it was on Facebook. Man, I might be wrong. I think it was on Facebook that had a place where you could actually get the shield. Did you see this, Jack?
No.
Yeah, they sent us a link, and it's a place. Man, I'm positive it's on our Facebook page, where you can order the actual shield. It's the leather case with that metal shield that the agents have, the one that was so important tonight for Coulson.
Right.
And it's really cool. It's like $60. You can order it. It's from a place in Australia. They look awesome. I think, more realistically for you and I, we wouldn't be carrying those. We're lanyard guys.
Oh, yeah. Well, the funny thing is I actually was a lanyard guy. I've done, 6 inaugural parades. And for the last couple, you get issued a lanyard. I mean, I've actually got like the super, there's like a lanyard that has to have the current pattern, and that is your like super security badge. So I'm actually the guy that walked around with one of the lanyards.
I actually had one at my last job, but my best lanyard I ever got was when I saw the Indiana Jones movie marathon, and they gave us one that looked like the little golden idol from the beginning of the movie.
Oh, right.
So, yeah, I would probably walk in wearing that, and they'd go, that's not a S.H.I.E.L.D. lanyard. Yeah, but it's awesome. Look, it's the golden idol.
And then I'm going to have to bail you out of the fridge. Great.
Right. Well, Jack, you're not it wouldn't be uncommon for you to raid a fridge, so...
Hey, what are you saying?
I'm saying that I botched that joke. That's what I'm saying. So are we done with this one? This one's gotten pretty long. It's gotten out of hand on us. Are we done?
I think I'm done.
All right, let's wrap it up. You can find our past episodes on our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. And you can find all the past episodes of this and all of our other shows. I think we added more. We're at like 29 or 30 now. It's crazy. Lots of shows, lots of fun stuff, great conversation going on. Definitely email us. We love getting the emails. That would be at southgatemediagroup@gmail.com. We also have one for this show. Now, that one, we've never gotten any email at, which is kind of weird, but we get them at the Southgate Media Group one. Huh. Might be because we don't do a very good job of talking about it. But the Gmail is, here's a shocker, nuffsaidpodcast@gmail.com.
I didn't even know
emails. Yeah, see, I think we've been weak on that one. I take the blame. I take the heat on that one, Jack. You can follow us on Twitter at nuffsaidpodcast, and that has been a lot of fun. That's really blowing up for us. Let's get those numbers up. I hate to hear that our brothers have 1,100 followers and we have 40. Bum, bum, ba-dum. So yeah, tell your friends, get everybody to follow, retweet, get it going. And then beyond that, you can find us on iTunes, you can find us on Stitcher, you can find us on, SoundCloud or Podbean or, like any place that you get your podcasts, you should find us. And if you don't, let us know and we will get on that directory too. And rating and review us also helps draw people to our podcast, which is really cool too. That's how those places use their algorithms to help people find us. The more people review, the higher you rank, the more likely you are recommended. That's how people find our show. Man, I think that's it. I am spent. So, for the Nuff Said podcast, until next time, I am repugnant Rob Southgate, and
I was jubilant Jack Wengroski.
Yes, jubilant Jack. I always laugh at those. They get me. That's it, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you. What is it? Next week is the next episode?
Next week, and it's going to be big.
Next week. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Ward might flip over the cards. So until then, enough said.
Enough said.
If you would like to donate to help pay for this and other Southgate Media Group podcasts, simply go to our website, southgatemediagroup.com, and click on the donate button. It can be as little as $1 or, well, as much as you want. Help keep this fun going by supporting this and our other shows. Thanks again for listening, everyone. You're the best fans in the world.